NFL free agency off and running, and here to break it all down, Sports Night analyst Richard Oliver. Richard, Dallas Cowboys making some big splashes of their own. Dak Prescott being placed on the franchise tag, also extending Amari Cooper's contract as well. However, several other free agent signings in the past 2 weeks. Which Cowboys signings, in your opinion, stand out the most to you?
So you're saying there's still sports happening? I'm a little surprised by that, But you know what? It was on the defensive side of the ball that the Cowboys made some really extraordinary moves during the offseason, and it started with someone who's not a player. They brought in defensive coordinator Mike Nolan, who's going to introduce a different type of defense, a 3-4 defense, which is a little bit different than what Rod Marinelli ran the last few years. So that's pretty interesting. So they go out and they get Gerald McCoy. This guy's a Pro Bowler, a guy he's got all kinds of endurance. He's always on the field for you, and he is going to plug things up. And here's the thing that's interesting about him: 6'4". He's a big guy. Marinelli over the last few years brought in smaller guys, faster guys, and listen, it worked. The Cowboys had a top 10 defense, so I'm not diminishing that. No pun intended. But you bring in Gerald McCoy, 6'4". You bring in Dontari Poe. He's a big guy as well. They're changing the dynamic of that defense. So in my mind, Mike Nolan bringing in those big linemen. Cowboys are going to be run stuffers. It's going to be a little bit different when you see what happens on that defensive side of the ball.
Definitely some upgrades on that side of the ball, defensive line specifically. But how about this? Which position group do you see the Cowboys needing help in during this offseason?
Well, I think defensive backs, there's no doubt about that. Clinton Dix was a big signing, obviously. I think he's an upgrade from Jeff Heath in the safety. So I'll say in the defensive backfield, okay, the Cowboys, maybe they're set a little bit. But the cornerbacks, you lost Byron Jones. You got to hope for a lot of those young guys to be able to kind of mature and step into those roles, unless the Cowboys could go out and find something on the free agency front. But as you and I have talked about, Jill, listen, financially, the Cowboys have gotten to a certain point where they may not be able to do a whole lot more, especially with Dak Prescott about to cash in a big payday, it appears. So I think that cornerback rotation has got to be something the Cowboys have got to look at. In particular, as much as we like Byron Jones, they've got to get somebody who can produce some turnovers for them. And so they need a ball hawk. And if they could find somebody like that, that's where the Cowboys could really improve.
Some big defensive moves and needing to make some defensive moves as well. However, on the other side of the ball, offense. Cowboys made several splashes. They extended Amari Cooper's contract, as I mentioned. They let go veteran tight end Jason Witten. Sad day for the Cowboys nation. However, offensively, who do you see making the biggest impact free agent-wise?
Well, that's a great question. And obviously Amari Cooper, free agent, brought him in there. If he stays healthy, he's the guy who's going to be the one that's going to give you the most. What the Cowboys need, again, is with Travis Frederick retiring suddenly, what do they do at center? I know Joe Looney can move over into that role. That's probably what's going to happen. But I look at those kind of things. I think there are still some offensive linemen out there floating around. I don't think the move's been made yet as far as what's going to be an impact move for the Cowboys in free agency on the offensive line. That's, if you're watching anything, especially heading up to the draft, let's see what the Cowboys do in that regard.
Excellent. Still early in the offseason, Richard. Thank you so much.